Hey people, this is the parable about the parables. And so just as soon as you hear the word parable, the word parable is a parable. Because you never have a pair of bulls. You only have one bull. The other's going to have to be a punk. You don't put two bulls in the field. They're going to fight until one of them punks out. You're only going to have one bull there. Dexter's Cattle says, we keep 2 or 3 Dexter bulls together, and it works well as long as the age hierarchy is established with the younger bulls. They got to know that they aren't bulls yet. You can see it in this old hieroglyphic gnome, this young bull getting run out, and he's known as a thief. And so it's the catching thief. I stole this page from Michael Rice's The Power of the Bull. It's a couple pages of hieroglyphics, and I put them beside the writings that they went with. And so the priests that wrote this, they went to the same school as Moses. So I often compare the Hebrew and the Greek to the Egyptian to help figure out how King James got this translation. But you can tell it's a parable, And he made him draw honey from the rock, from slow, S-L-O-W. From slows them in, and from flinty the rock, that's a different type of rock. Now it's an XUR. Zoo, XU is the Hebrew word they give command, and zoo is the Greek word they give life, or the wife of Adam, as in Eve is zoo. But in other words, in Greek, zoo means animals. So if you Google Sambo, you see a bunch of stuff come up that I thought was illegal these days. Sambo's ancient Egyptian word for a mad black bull. You got your Rambo, your mad Italian, and your Sambo, your mad African. This is where Sammy comes from right here. Domestic bulls are shown with speckled coats. However, the hieroglyph for wild bull, Sam, H25, Sammy. And something strange about the feather here. It's turned the wrong way. It should be blowing, the wind should be blowing all the animals facing to the wind, and the feather should be turned the other way where the wind was blowing it. So it tells me one of these letters reads different. And the use of the bull with the twisted perspective in H35, he's got his head turned. You walk up in the bull's field and he turns his head around, he cocks his head a little bit. How stupid is this guy? You walk a little more in the field, he cocks his head a little bit more. It means mad bull, fixing to charge. And it makes the distinction clear that get back was a black-haired bull. And so back, it don't matter. Back is bad. Black or white, when they're out there in the yard and they pick up something and mama don't want them to put it in their mouth, she says, that's back, and if they put it in their mouth, that's usually the noise that babies make, back. And it's a worldwide Adam word meaning not good to eat, or get back, for I charge you. And it's surely the same place that Bacchus comes from, the god of festivity and ritual madness and religious ecstasy, the liberator, the Bacchia. And so best chances are it doesn't mean black. Black is just another quality associated with this. So when you saw it, you knew what it meant. So the bull, is usually it's the ka, and the black one is the baka, and sometimes it's pur, P-R, and in the Hebrew you see it pur and fur, or kur, Q-R. But they call this neg, the neg, and it's the N-G here, neg. And so what you're looking at here is I-N-G, ing. And so this is shame, S-H-A-M-I-N-G, shaming. That's your Hebrew word for naming, shaming. And what helped me catch this is this word here. This is king. And they'll tell you it's king, but they won't tell you this is a I-N-G here, a ing. It's to make seed carry. Ing, to make the cycle carry. Ing, the king. One of the most frequent used words for bull in Egyptian seems to have been ka. This was written with two signs. First was in the form of a pair of upraised arms, and that's here. This is ka. This sign's familiar. All the Egyptologists understand this is ka. It's the symbol for the life, soul, spirit, what gives life. All humans were to possess from before birth. And the second sign is a stately bull walking forward, which indicates that ka here meant a male bovine. And that idea of maleness is sometimes also supported by another very ancient glyph, the erect penis dripping semen with the testicles. You see that here in this sign for Horus, the king Ka. And that's it, it's the personification of the living king. Ka, the living king. But they just can't put it together that this is a ing. They just give it the N, which is N, is a seed or a cycle. And that explains more why this Hebrew word for king is milk, M-L-K. Hey boy, that's a bull you trying to milk there. Then when you see it turned upside down, that lets me know that this reads both ways. So now instead of the king of, the king doesn't come to the end when it's read bottom to top, king. So the reason, that so many different signs meaning the same thing, this would be a ka and that would be a ka, it's because they read in different directions, they read differently. Like this is aware. It's a W-R. In one direction it's aware, in another direction it's just a U. And so the same as this ing, in one direction it's just an N. And the same is this ka. In the other direction it's a bull, it's a purr. But you have to watch the horns closely. Sometimes the horns are level, but when the horns aren't level, it's a nig. And it's the king nigger who prank. And so this word nig comes from the jinn, when the one is nigging the jinn, the one that's turning the wheel is the nigger. And that's you are, as in where is where the nigging's going on. But you see the color down here, and it was spelt with the A-U-R, the N-G-A-U-R. And they'll just give this the U. But I'm sure it's the A-U-R and it's the U on the way back. And what it means is the A-U-R, that's on the first day when God created light, was the or. And so the negative light, and this means black. And that's where they're getting that black from. They'll say it's a generic term for bull. They had other words for red bull and white bull. But it's the bull of the heaven, and what it means is the black sky. The black sky, the night. And it's where you're shaming, you're naming. Everything gets named for the worst thing and the last bad thing you did. They shame you to remind you of it. You shame. And so shaming is also saming. The knowledge from ing, I-N-G, to make the cycles carry. And so everything got named for its heavens, and that gave a date. The shaming, the saming, naming. And so in Hebrew, this would be a S as in consume the knowledge from. But here this is a fold, to fold, to create, to put out the knowledge from ing, the work the cycles carry. See that here in the Hebrew, the base word for the heavens, it's just the S-H-M-I or S-C-M-I, the shame, the same, and all the other words for the heavens will just be added to this. You can see here on the second page when Adam names the animals, the shame what, the same what. Name them the same is what the heavens in the air of the shame is. And you can see here for the name, the ves, shame and same. The name and the same. The heavens and the name. And then the other way, This owl, it represents the M. You see it in this symbol for Kemet. This is catch. You see it's rough. Got a rough side here, a catch. And then the M, the Chem, and then the T. And I believe this is the old Tet. But when it reads backwards, it's an owl. It's an O-W-L. And this is where your word chem and cum, what comes out of, the chemistry, is where this comes from. And this is probably a stack of money, what you're looking at. And it's the comet. And then the other way, that owls, T-O-W-L, the comet that toll. And that's how they made their cash, was the toll. That's what Israel's trying to do now. They're trying to get all that land across there so you can't get across without paying a toll. And that's how Egypt got all their knowledge. If you was going from Asia to Africa, you had to go through Egypt. They were charging a toll. They were taking everybody's books. And this catch, it's something that is a chafe-you. You scratch up against it, chafe-you. This is a K as in CH. And so it's comet that, and then owls, and then CH. And so it's OU or OV. And the comet of luck, LCH, luck. And you see you got a stack of money. How'd you get that stack of money? Oh, just comet that of luck. And that's the way they saw it. Oh, they was just lucky that they had the right spot to charge the tolls. That skins, those are greenbacks. And that's what they'll say that this represents, is crocodile skin. And they'll say its phonetic value is KM and also means black. But, it looks a lot like the letter Q. And I'm thinking that's what it is. It's a Q on the way back. And it's a word that spells different all the time, and it's because it's not the same word. And they try to mistake it with the chemists and the come yet, the Y-I-T, come yet, as in not here at this time, not yet, but will be. And so the word Kemet, come from all these words of all the happenings that happen in this place. The syllable Chem was in all of them. And this word owls, O-W-L-S, in the Hebrew, they say it's perpetual, forever. Comet that forever. So this is, to nig, to turn the gin, to pull the wheel, the nig, and then or, A-U-R, the light, the heavens lights. In the beginning, God said, let there be, or is the word, let there be light. And so to turn the lights, the bull would just be ka, and then when you read it back the other way, you're coming up from behind. Well, you don't know what kind of bull he is from behind. He's just a purr. He's a bull, that much. And so he's now copper. And to nig or copper wage, W-A-G-N, the copper wage. And so they'll say, copper is Venus. Venus is the copper planet. But in Egypt, they'll say that copper disk was the sun. And so that would make the bull would be Venus, and is waging the copper. That's Venus is, has got two jobs. Half the time it's waking the sun up, and half the time it's putting the sun to bed. The copper waging. The shaming, I-N-G. And then on the way back, he's a bull. It's a purr. P-R-I-M-A-S. It's prime as. Getting you ready, shaming you, getting you ready, primed up. They'll tell you that they had to write all this just to get two syllables out. Ka, And that tells me they have no idea what they're reading. Because was ancient symbol for where. It's ancient city of And these bulls up here that were reserved for sacrifices, they were nothing. These don't get a yoke on them, and they don't get bread. The nuttons. And the one that was chosen for the sacrifice, he's the one that's going to seize axe. And so I don't fight this real hard. It's hard to read this if you don't see where it was originally written, because the placement and the size has a lot to do with how it's read. This could also say misspelling, or the shaming, and then Y, and then the owl would be a OU, YO, the shaming you, and then loss, LAS, the shaming you, those, naming them for what they did, for the time in the sky. And if you start from the back, it's per you last shaming, for your last shaming, the last time you got named, shamed. So it was in this song of Moses, this word buffer had me look into that, BBFR, BBQR, in buffer. And so that's what the cattle is. The cattle is the buffer in the morning. When Venus comes up before the sun, it's a buffer. Comet and buffer. And so buffer is also what's happening, when just getting your movie ready to play. It's buffering, preparing. And so comet and buffer in preparing, which love exon. And the exon is always the sheep. It's flocks or sheep. And this is a good line here to show how it changes the meaning in the 3 different readings. And so if I ignore all the marks, it's the comet and buffer which love the exon. And so it's talking about curds that you buffered out which love the exon. And so this exon, meaning sheep, is right here. It's known as the sheep with the exon, one of the most ancient Christian symbols, they called it. So this was the symbol of the sun, the sun, the exon. And then as, have, cries, or of, possibly of self, SCLV, of self, as, have, cries, CRIS. The cries wails, WAILS. The cries wails in Ben. And so this breed of these rams here, this is always sons of God, sons of men. It's never sons of animals. The reason it's sons of animals is because Moses just left Egypt, where it was all animals in Ben, and that's the times of the heavens in Ben. And so whale is in Ben, in the time bash, and that could be red. The bash is the red in the Egyptian, and in the Ben, in Ben bash, and what tude, what WOTTUUD, what tude is, what your attitude, your altitude, your height. And so this word is going to change for the goats across here. It's going to change to several different words. And what tude is, as have clee, to attach what? To clee what hatch, would sun in test each more, in test the comer. In the blood of grapes you drank wine. It's would your son in test the come, or would come out of it. And so that was 2 lines above here where it says, he made him ride the heights of the earth. It was the bumpty. The heights were the bumpty. And it's the jerkin who all bumpty. Oh country bumpkins, oh bumpties. And the jerkin who all bumpty arts. ARTS. In bumpty the arts. And so the arts is the knowledge of drugs, RX. That's the earths. That's what it says, earth. That means the knowledge of plants, how to extract. And it's also the arch, the ARCH, the bumpty arch, the astrology. And it's also, the arts, the drawings on the wall that give you an idea of the connection between. And so the jerkin who all bumpty arts, they're bumpty distilling, their old country distilling, who jackal tinue of its dye, who in few dibs, call, claim position, to in few dibs from slow and same and much of the miser. And so that's what it's talking about the first time through is, having your son test your brew over here in Kemet. Come at in Kemet. And the Kemet and buffer, your buffer and you're straining it out to buffer it, to straining it out, straining out the thick parts which love, and the Kemet in buffer which love the sheep, straining out the sheep curds maybe, as have cries wail is in bing, in vin, a vin number, time and date, the vin, time, date, and contents. And wails is in vin, vessin what, filling what two wood is, as half clee, what it hood, ETHUD, who would son in test each more. So my program's slowing up, seizing up pretty bad, but I'll read this 3 times in the next one with the 3 different reading directions and show how it changes meaning as you go.
Don't forget, hooty, I won't forget.
Alright, I'm gonna cut this off here. Good day.